What is up, folks at home? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about 3 of the most underrated bass fishing lures out there. Lures that deserve a lot of praise that just don't get the play they used to anymore. But we're going to dive into it today. Lots of fun, lots of underwater. Let's go.
It'll be all right.
So the fishing community likes to forget stuff that worked in favor of what's new and what's the latest and greatest. But friends, there are some lures that stand the test of time and that are underrated producers 24/7, 365. So top 3, here we go. Number 1, the spinnerbait, right? The spinnerbait is near and dear to my heart for a lot of different reasons. But number 1 is you can fish it 24/7, 365 and catch fish. In the coldest water, you can catch them on a spinnerbait. In the hottest water, you can catch them on a spinnerbait. Muddy water, clear water, murky water, stained water, any kind of water conditions, you can catch them on a spinnerbait. Now, it is one of the most versatile lures around for a couple different reasons. 1, you can fish it all the time. You just have to change your cadence. 2, you can pretty much mix and match anything that the fish are hitting on can be mimicked by a spinnerbait, right? Colors, blade shapes, designs. If I had to pick one spinnerbait to throw, it is the double willow leaf in white or white and black, or if you're really crazy, white and chartreuse, and that catches them in all water combinations. Dave asked me the other day, he's like, what do you think about white and chartreuse on a spinnerbait? And I said, it'll smoke them in clear water, it'll smoke them in dirty water. You just have to change up your blade configurations to do so. In cold water, I like Colorado blades. At night, I like Colorado blades. The rest of the time, I'm fishing willow leaf blades, right? Spinnerbaits are a rabbit hole. You can customize and mix and match and do all kinds of stuff, but the beauty of a spinnerbait is the pace at which you fish it is going to be determined by the water that you're in. If you're in clear water and it's hot, burn that sucker. You can't reel it fast enough. If you're in cold, muddy water, slow that thing down and bump it along the bottom. Put a big hubcap Colorado blade on there in the cold, slow wind that thing. You can catch some massive, massive, massive stringers of bass doing that. So, bait number 1, spinnerbait. All right, folks, bait number 2 is the humble yet mighty mid-depth crankbait. So what are we talking about a mid-depth crankbait? We're talking about Bandit 100s. We're talking about baits that are designed to run in that 6 to 8 foot range. Those baits used to be all the rage, right? And crankbaits about this size started to die out when you had the advent of the square bill, when you had the advent of the deep crank. Mid-depth cranking or high sticking a crankbait is one of those techniques where you can absolutely blast fish, yet I see nobody fishing hard baits anymore. I see guys throwing jigs all the time, I see guys scoping all the time, I see guys throwing jerkbaits all the time. The crankbait bite can be deadly, right? And mid-depth cranking is a fine art, right? If you know you're fishing 11, 12 feet of water and the weeds are coming up to 6 and you run a mid-depth crankbait through there like a DT6, DT8, Bandit 100, literally, you're gonna smack fish, right? So the mid-depth crank that can be walked over top of that the vegetation there that is able to really get down, get into that mess, pop back out, get into that mess, pop back out, is going to shine. The East Tennessee guys have always had the crankbait in their hand. They keep it locked in their hand. But fishing up here in the Midwest, I don't see hardly anyone throwing crankbaits anymore. And that's crazy because I grew up throwing crankbaits all the time, right? And when I moved up here, I figured out ways to catch them on a crankbait that really gives me an opportunity and a benefit that other anglers don't really have, and that is cranking. It's doing something different, but it's also the Kevin Van Dam school of fishing where you are covering lots of water and you are finding active fish 24/7. So the mid-depth crankbait, whatever your favorite brand is, that 6 to 8 foot running crank can be an absolute killer if you high stick it and fish it over vegetation. You fish it on bluff walls and in different places where you're really looking for that. But really, mid-depth cranking is something that the bass fishing community has forgotten a lot about, and that is troubling to me because I love doing it and I catch a lot of fish doing it. It's just something, it's one of those art forms that's kind of dying, and that's what makes it underappreciated. The last bait that's kind of underappreciated, and it's one that I fish a ton of on this channel and a ton of in my own personal fishing, is the weightless fluke. And the weightless fluke is one of those baits that can get you bites in 40-degree water, and it can get you bites in 100-degree water. It is a pure reaction bite. The ways that you can customize this bait are almost endless. You can absolutely positively smack fish left and right with a weightless fluke. It's one of the first baits that I pick up after ice out, and it's one of the last baits that I put down going into ice season. Think of it as a jerkbait that can be fished over top of through cover, right? Where a jerkbait has treble hooks on it, this can be Texas rigged, it can be nose hooked, and you can absolutely positively trigger fish that otherwise would not bite anything else with that fluke. And I've done a lot of videos diving into the fluke, but it's one of those baits that used to get a lot of acclaim and doesn't get that acclaim as much now because a lot of guys have been, you know, tickle winding it or scoping with it or doing different things. But a true weightless or Texas rigged fluke is a dynamic lure that you can absolutely pound fish on. And it's one of those things where you can really get fish to bite that otherwise would not bite anything else. Fishing pressured lakes in the north like I do, the fluke has been vital to my success, but I've caught hundreds of fish with this all over the country in different places, you know, calling it a rubber band and throwing it on the flats in Florida, catching speckled trout and redfish, calling it, you know, that banded fluke up in Massachusetts and Maine and really just smacking fish in those old tannic water fisheries that a lot of guys fish jigs on. Throw the fluke in there, you're going to smack them. So the fluke is an underappreciated bait. These are 3 baits in the spinnerbait, the mid-depth crank, and the fluke that you should work into your rotation in the fall. They're going to get bit, right? They're simply going to get bit, and you can absolutely positively smack some fish doing those techniques. Guys, if you like what's going on the channel right now, give us a like, subscribe. Let us know in the comment section what you want to see from us in the future. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. We'll see you next time.